Hi, everyone. Welcome to Test Row Shot Show 2024 updates. Say updates because we might record some follow-up videos if there are more questions or if there's any topics we particularly want to get into a little bit more. So let's dive right into it. Okay, so maybe we should talk about what is SHOT Show. So SHOT Show is a industry event that mainly focuses on shooting and hunting and outdoor sports. So it's primarily focusing on target shooting and hunting. It does have law enforcement and military setups as well, but there are shows that are more focused on military and law enforcement product offerings, and they are only kind of catering towards industries. SHOT Show is usually held third week of January in Vegas. It's been hosted in Vegas for many years, and usually opens up with a range industry day at the range on Monday, followed by Tuesday to Friday main event at one of the, or actually two of the resorts in large resorts in Vegas. So we were lucky to get into the range day this year. Similar to last year, the weather did not exactly cooperate. It's a bit strange to go to Vegas and to be met by a rainy day. And although Vegas is in the desert, but rainy day, we're talking a few millimeters of rain. It's not like a huge amount of rain. But we were able to visit most of the companies that we wanted to see on the during the range day. So the weather didn't really affect us as much. Besides, us coming from Canada here in minus temperatures and freezing, going to a little bit of wind and rain in Vegas wasn't really a big deal. So we're going to go over the things that we thought were interesting to us and to all kind of friends in shooting, the things that we are focusing on. There was lots of new stuff. There's lots of things that were either new models or reworked. There's lots of other YouTubers that they're dedicated many shows to showing kind of best of SHOT Show and blah blah blah, all of those. But we're kind of highlighting what we think is interesting for you guys and things that kind of we're following and that we hopefully will be bringing in the store at some point in the future, or at least we would like to see in our hands. So maybe we can start with optics first. We visited our friends from Apex. For those who are not familiar with Apex is a Canadian company, very young, but very, very active. Really focuses on their first few product offerings are really focused on competition shooting. So they came out with the Rival scope, which we carry, and followed up with the WileyX that has a slight modification on the turret, and also some of the smaller scopes like low variable power optic, and also some binos. What's new for Apex, and we thought it would be quite interesting to see that, to have that in our hands and play with it, is two red dots, one micro and one regular, sort of they're both pretty small, but one of them will be maybe comparable to a standard red dot, and one micro red dot more compact. In US, of course, that would be something that people would put on the carry, but we can't carry in Canada, so that's not really applicable. But what was interesting about those red dots, they offer multiple reticles in it, as in a different size of the dot. And we thought it was quite an interesting feature. It's not really the first time that it's done, but I think it's the first time that we've seen it offered in a higher end optic. And it's still new. I mean, this is the first time we saw it. but we really hope that it stands up to the testing, and once this makes it to the pistols and rifles and shotguns, it will perform as well as it did in our hands. So that was quite quite interesting thing to see from Apex. They didn't quite have or at least I cannot remember the definitive delivery date. I think they said later this year. Moving on to the next interesting thing in terms of the optics, which we thought it was the biggest sort of offering as far as the optics goes, is the Leupold Mark IV. So what is it that is so interesting about Leupold Mark IV? Leupold Mark IV is smaller brother of the Leupold Mark V, and in particular, Mark IV is suited much better for rimfire shooting, because it not just because of the magnification ranges, also the way the optics is set up and the way the parallax works. So it's going to work much better for those shorter distances compared to Mark V, which is really intended to be long range and LR and ELR scope, whereas the Mark V is going to be more for shorter and medium distances. The other things that's going to be, of course, very attractive is the price. What we're seeing here on the screen is the U.S. pricing, but it will land, depending on the model, somewhere between $2,000 and $2,600, depending on which setup it has. These are already posted on website, so if you guys want to go and check them out and see different models and complete specs. But I kind of wanted to highlight they are going to, probably the ones that are going to be the most interesting are the ones with PR2 and PR3 reticle. And the other thing that's super interesting is the motion technology option that they offer, but it's only offered in the lower end of the magnification spectrum, and which is I'm trying to see if it's showing it here. Basically what it is, the scope has a red dot. Let me exit out of this. So the scope will have an illuminated reticle, and the dot itself is going to flash when the scope is not leveled. So this is something that Leupold has had in some of the other their rifle optics lines, and essentially was the purpose of it. One of the main purposes was to align the scope in the rings. However, particularly for the PRS shooters, this would be a very good feature to have in the scope. So you can essentially use that dot to see when you're level, rather than using the external level, which is what most people are using right now. Unfortunately, this is not offered in the magnification ranges and with the reticles that are competition reticles. We asked the Leupold about it. They said that was a business decision. We kind of suspect that might be Mark IV addition in the next year, or maybe when they re-release some additional models, and we might see those. Otherwise, the scope borrows quite a bit from Mark V, which is a very, very successful competition scope from Leupold, and it's been on the market for quite a long time and quite well received. The price point is better. In a sense, it's cheap, significantly cheaper than Mark V. But it follows a lot of kind of successful design ideas from Mark V. Specifically, it's quite light in its class, and that's going to be very attractive for people trying to save weight on from their builds. Moving on to actually another thing from before I forgot, from Leupold. I don't have it pulled up here, but Leupold does have a new compact rangefinder. I forgot the model. I can't find my note of the model, but it had quite impressive specs. If I remember correctly, it was working up to 6,000 yards. It was one of the smaller kind of handheld models, and it had a couple of other features. I now forget what most of them are because I don't have my notes. But I do remember that we went back a couple of times to check out the specs, and we'll probably see that. I'm going to guess later on this year here in the store if the delivery dates are correct. What else? Okay, let's jump to the next thing in terms of the optics. We did go visit Athlon booth, and what was interesting is the second focal plane scopes offerings. The first focal plane, of course, most of you that are familiar with with Athlon will know about these, but we thought this will be very interesting scope. The Harris SPR 15 to 60 by 56 with this BLR SPF MOA reticle. So we're guessing this is going to land somewhere, in just over $1,000, maybe $1,200 in Canada. And then the other one was the Midas 4.5 to 27, which with also this very, very interesting reticle, which also has an illumination on it, and US MSRP was $662. So we're guessing it'll be again around that $1,000 mark. And the other thing that we saw, there was a pair of binos I forgot to name that had reticle in it, and that was very interesting because the reticle was rotatable, which means that as you adjust the distance between the cylinders to kind of to fit your own pupil distance, with a lot of binos, then the reticle kind of rotates. So when you adjust it to yourself, then you can adjust the reticle so the horizon on is perfect. But I still think that these second focal plane scopes are landing in pretty good, at least spec wise. They look pretty interesting, and I think at the price that they offered, they're going to be very, very interesting because there's not really that many second focal scopes that are offered with the fine reticles. So sort of for bench rest or particularly for target shooters. Just a lot of companies unfortunately went away from that. So it's good to see that some companies are still investing that. Of course, Citron is a big one that's where one of its main things, and we carry quite a few of them. But there is a bit of a gap in that kind of between $1,000 and let's say $1,400-$1,500 range. That it's really missing something with a good amount of magnification at this price range and a good reticle. So I think this will be a really good scope for guys shooting rimfire, in particular either bench rest or prone with the scope. Moving on to the next, we visited our friends from Trigger Tech. Trigger Tech had a number of new triggers that they were showing. The big one is that, of course, everybody's talking about is the Glock trigger. I think that's going to be huge for them. It's quite happy for them to have that available. Of course, it's not going to be really as important for Trigger Tech in Canadian market, since we can't sell handguns anymore. But I think for everybody that's in the future looking to upgrade their existing Glock that they own, that will be good. But for us rifle shooters, what's interesting is that Tikka, Sako, and RPR, so Ruger Precision Rifle trigger offerings from Trigger Tech are in the works. I think they said all of these should be available sometime later this year. I believe RPR, followed by Tikka, followed by Sako. So a lot of Tikka owners there, very good platform. So they'll be quite happy to have another offering to be able to upgrade the trigger options. Another thing that we quite liked is Daniel Defense announced the pistol caliber carbine. We don't know if it's going to be legal in Canada. It looked very AR-like, so who knows if they're going to be able to put it through the classification and where it's going to land. But if it does, I think it's going to really add another option for folks that they like to shoot pistol caliber carbine. Coming from Daniel Defense, we would expect it to be the quality would be the Daniel Defense level of quality and reliability, which will probably come with Daniel Defense price tag as well. But we did quite like the way it looked. We did get a chance to test it out at and play with it during the range day. But the specs look quite appealing. All right, so let's move on to some of the more interesting stuff, or at least more interesting for me. So our one of our favorite brands, CZ, has announced a number of new packagings for the CZ600. For those who are not familiar with CZ600, that's CZ's centerfire platform for micro and medium caliber. So small and medium centerfire calibers up to the smaller magnum calibers. And it's replacing both 527 and 557 platform from the past, from CZ's previous kind of generations of centerfire rifles. What is the big news was, of course, the MDT. Let me pull up that. Go. So the big one is the CZ600 MDT Deep Bronze. This is going to be, I think, very, very popular rifle once it comes out. Its basis is CZ 600 range. They've done some modifications to the. Actually, they've done quite a few modifications, and there's a really good video from CZ going over the features. But two kind of major things is CZ 600 range barreled action. So heavy barrel. They added a muzzle brake. They enlarged the breech, so for better function. So this whole opening is larger. They also are using the Accuracy International standard magazine, so ACCC mag. From what I've heard is they do have a proprietary magazine that they're using, which is going to perform a little bit better than the standard ACCC mags, but ACCC mags will work as well. I don't know what they mean by it's going to perform better, but that's what they kind of said in their description. Otherwise, they are using I would say ACC like chassis that was made for CZ with some modifications. Obviously, the major modification is going to be there is no CZ 600 footprint in ACC, so added that. But we can see that the backstock is the skeletonized one standard from the ACC offering, and the pistol grips and all the other standard ACC accessories will work for it. The other thing that's going to be very attractive on it is the price point. We think this will be somewhere around $3,500–$3,600 range, which is going to be quite good for kind of starter PRS rifle or target rifle for that matter. CZ rifles have an exceptional precision and value for the money. So this will be something that we are very much looking forward to having in the shop. It does come in another version, which is they call it bronze and gray. So that's kind of what they name it with, which will be very easy, obviously, to differentiate. The gray comes without a muzzle brake, simpler chassis on it. It's using the standard kind of AR attachment, and has more of a AR style backstock, but is also interchangeable with any backstock that uses this AR attachment interface. So for people that want to change it for something different, they will have that option to upgrade. Also, the nice thing about the AR style backstock is if you're looking for shorter length of pull, generally these styles of backstock come in the length of pull that is comes in much more compact versions. And for people with short arms like myself, this will be something that's very interesting. So I think both of these are going to be very popular, and they're going to be very interesting to play with for us. And I think they're going to be very, very good kind of a starter platform for somebody trying to get into the centerfire PRS with sort of a competition ready rifle. It really comes with kind of everything that you need to get going. The rest is kind of customizing and accessorizing, but it's going to be kind of add a scope to it, and they're good to go. One thing that we thought was a little bit lacking on it, if you have to critique it a little bit, is the fact that it was only going to be offered in 308 and 6 Creedmoor. We thought that maybe 6.5 Creedmoor would have been more competitive offering, especially if you're looking at the competition. And we would have liked to see some other 6 mil options from there as well, but looks like that not many manufacturers are going that way. So 6 Creedmoor is the kind of de facto a factory caliber. If you want to have any of the other cool kids type of 6 mil offerings, then you pretty much have to go to a custom build. So that's why we're doing them ourselves. But maybe more about that in different video. Okay, going back to CZ from the small bore side. CZ, actually, I jumped the shark here. I wanted to show CZ 600 American, which which we think is going to add sort of one of those classic options to the CZX 600 range. American is, when we say American, generally is kind of standard hunting stock with, and hopefully this comes out well in video, is generally ambidextrous stock, although it's a right-handed action. It's going to be a longer barrel offering, and in US they're going to offer. Let me see if it shows on the page here. No, it doesn't. But they're going to offer two kinds of wood options for the American market. So we're going to have a high grade walnut and a regular walnut. And unfortunately, I think for Canadian market, we might not have access to those, which makes me a little bit sad. I do like the rifles that come with a nicer walnut offering. So yeah, maybe we'll luck out. Importer bring some in, but yeah, this was. I think this is going to be quite popular for somebody looking for general purpose rifle, primarily for hunting, maybe a little bit of target shooting as well, and you can has a standard thread on the barrel as well if you want to add a muzzle brake. In US, of course, they allow to use silencer, so they can put a silencer on for hog hunting and things like that. Okay, back to the other CZ that kind of flashed for everybody. We've been quite excited about this one. It's maybe not new news anymore, but this is a CZ 457 carbon. We should actually have this in a shop this week. We have some coming in, but this was announced shortly before SHOT Show, so we knew about this going to SHOT Show, but we actually didn't get a chance to see it at the SHOT Show. Both times that we went to CZ booth, they had some media actually present there, and they were in their studio doing some videos with the rifle, so they couldn't actually show it to us. So it's going to be first. We went all the way to SHOT Show when we couldn't see it, but we're getting some in. So pretty excited to see how what it feels, what it's going to be like, but as you can guess by the name, it's going to be it's a carbon wrap barrel, so it's going to be quite a bit lighter than the regular barrel. The stock is also on the lighter side, and let's look at the specs here. The entire rifle is 2.15 kilograms, so that's going to be about just over 4.5 pounds. It's going to be pretty light. Looking at the stock, it's not really, I would say, a target stock. It could be used for target shooting. It's more of a hunting stock, so we think it's going to be a very good fit for somebody looking for ultralight rifle. Maybe guys doing the Hunter Series competitions might like it because of the weight. Price-wise, is definitely not going to be in the production. We know that. I think they actually have MSRPs here, or maybe not. I don't know what the pricing on is going yet, but it's going to be more on the high end of the CZ 457 pricing. So this is interesting to see. I don't know what manufacturer they use for the barrel. Maybe there's going to be some stamps there. I actually don't know that CZ is doing carbon wrap barrels themselves, so I suspect that this is probably a third party that's doing it for them, and we'll find out. We did try to ask at the SHOT Show, but they they just didn't answer the question. So either they didn't want to tell us, or maybe they just didn't know. Either way, this is going to be quite interesting to see this rifle in person and play with it. Another one of the offering that was sort of new is the varmint trainer, or MTR trainer, as it's called sometimes, is the one that comes in the Manor stock. Looks like they're going to have a new offering in terms of the stock option. They went with a little bit more adjustable Manor stock, so you're going to have a adjustable cheek piece height, which we thought is quite a good addition to that stock. Of course, for those of you that know Manor stock, people either love it or hate it. But the one with adjustable cheek piece is quite nice. It makes it significantly more usable. So that's from a CZ. Let's move on to Colt. So Colt announced this rifle last year, and it was sort of just sitting at the Colt's booth, and not really much was said about it. And we were hoping that we were going to have it by now, but we don't. However, we were able to shoot it. It was there at the range day, and we did go by the Colt's booth at the range day, and we were able to chat with the sales guys and get some more info on it. So okay, so for those of you not aware, Colt is part of CZ Group, and that's going to become important in a few sentences when I explain how this rifle came about. So CZ Group owns Colt. Together, they own a bunch of other companies, but Colt was a relatively recent acquisition, I think just two or 3 years ago. And unfortunately for us in Canada, that really doesn't mean much, because most of the things that Colt makes we can't get. But then this rifle was announced, so it was quite an interesting offering. All we knew about it last year, it was going to be based on CZ600 and with some mods, and that was it. We didn't know what kind of mods, what is it that's going to be different, what is it that they enhanced. Well, now we actually know that. So they started with CZ600, which sort of makes sense, because Colt is owned by CZ, so they didn't have to pay any royalties to CZ for using that platform. And they kind of looks like actually CZ let them play, because they've changed quite a few things. They're also using, if you look at it externally, this is very MDT-esque chassis. So I think they kind of went with LSS with a little bit of sprinkling of maybe ACC chassis in it, but a relatively simple chassis. Looks quite functional, and it felt pretty good when we were playing with it. So in terms of the chassis, it's sort of proprietary to this particular rifle. And we think this chassis is going to be pretty adequate for what is intended to be used. It's not going to be like ACC Premier in terms of the features, but also it's not going to be at the price point where it would be if you had ACC Premier. Now, moving on to the things that become quite interesting compared to the CZ600, they changed the interface, a barrel interface, and I think this is what's going to make this super interesting if we ever get our hands on it. They went with a Savage interface for the barrels, which means that changing the barrels and rebarreling these actions is going to be very easy, because a Savage interface is quite available. There's a lot of manufacturers that do drop-in Savage barrels with a Savage interface. So that is already making this extremely interesting offering. The other thing is, it looks like they did actually do some modifications to the action as well. They are I can't remember, but I do believe that they offer Remington 700 trigger as well, drop-in. Their trigger that's on it, when I tried it, I really liked the trigger. I thought it was very crisp, and both dry firing and shooting alive. It felt nice. I think as the rifle comes out of the box, I think that trigger was quite good. If the trigger is going to feel like the one that was when we were when we were playing with it, and also it means that it's going to be actually more modular than CZ 600. For those who are not familiar, CZ had to do a recall, so they can't actually do the drop-in barrels, which was intended originally with it. So, which is kind of a big minus on CZ 600 if you intend to change barrels in the future. If you're kind of more of a hunting for hunting setup, then it's not as much of a big deal. So in terms of the CBX, we're quite excited to see it again, primarily because of that barrel interface. I think that if these rifles get delivered, I think they're going to be very, very attractive as a platform, as a starter platform. They're going to be offered in, I believe, in 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor, so they didn't go with 6 Creedmoor like a CZ 600 MDT. So it's going to be interesting to see them. I think the price point is going to be a little bit lower than the CZ 600 MDT. Of course, the chassis is much simpler. So those are all going to be interesting to see when we get them. I don't know when we're going to get either of these. We have both of them, both CBX and MDT, CZ MDT 600s on order. So whatever comes in first, we'll share with you guys. But I think these are all going to be really good starter offerings. It's kind of hard to say starter when you're paying more than a couple of thousand bucks for a rifle, but for competition PRS rifles, really that's kind of where it starts. Okay, so that's for the new guns that were interesting. What about other companies? So our friends from MDT had some really good interesting offerings. I couldn't actually find them on the website, so we'll just sort of talk about them. So MDT had a bunch of new things that they announced. They do have a shot indicator that sort of has the indicator the sensor that goes in the back of the plate, and then you have a unit that's sitting with you and is kind of reading out the shots or announcing the sort of the hits. What is going to be the interesting is that you could have multiple kind of units, multiple sensors on the targets, and then you have one receiver unit. It's going to be very good for times when the visibility is low, and I think it will be a very good option to be indicating 22 hits if it does work well with the 22 hits, because 22 can be quite soft in a longer distance. When you go into larger plates at a long distance, where it's kind of really hard to spot, especially in a kind of hazy or rainy weather, those are going to be quite good. Then there is some updates to ACCC Premier chassis. We were quite excited about these. So what's going to happen is they are ACC Elite kind of took ACC to a sort of a new level. They had a whole bunch of features, and that's kind of like the competition chassis, the high level competition chassis from MDT. So what they're doing with the ACC Premier, they did some changes that simplified it. I think they made it, in my opinion, they made it a little bit more robust. They also shortened the forend, which I think is going to be great because not everybody's running super long barrels. So it's going to be nice. It's going to look nicer with those kind of medium length barrels, and of course adjusted the price point. So the price point is going to be a lot more attractive. I can't remember what the numbers are, but I remember that we were quite excited about it. I think it's going to be a good addition, especially if we're doing the small bore builds. They promised they're going to have it available for season 457, which of course is what we do. We base a lot of our builds on, and we are certainly going to push them to release that as soon as possible. Another update is to J. Allen chassis. They did some simplifications to it, kind of removed few features of it. I can't remember how that affected the weight. I think it might be a little bit lighter, could be wrong. But also it's going to bring down the price of it. I think it's going to bring it down by $400 or $500. So it's going to make it a little bit more palatable because J. Allen chassis, as great as it is, it's quite pricey. Another thing was they did a refresh on the mag design. They added some ridges and ribs to magazines to make them a little bit more functional, a little bit more rigid. So they looks like they'll be a little bit more added, basically more reliability to already pretty good design. There were also of course I almost forgot. There's a new timer that is coming out, and it's going to attach to the rifle. It kind of the form factor similar to the electronic level. That's kind of what it reminded me of. But you can set time to any kind of amount of time. Well, I thought it's not any amount of time, but something that's reasonable for that will cover pretty much all the shooting needs. So you can have it kind of time out and beep out or beep. So it gives you an indication kind of how are you doing for a particular a string that you're shooting, whether it's a stage or you're doing some drills or whatever. So that's going to be quite good. They announced they have some shooting bags they released. They look fairly simple. So they're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna be necessarily competing with a higher end or more kind of functional competition focused bags, but they're kind of more simple, relatively general purpose kind of shooting bags offerings. They look quite pretty nice, relatively standard kind of shooting bags. So just kind of in line with everything that MDT does. We think they will be quite functional and quite good going forward. And the trigger apparently is still coming. Sorry, the electronic trigger is still coming. We don't have the dates on it. They, at least at the SHOT Show, they said it's still in the works and it's coming. They didn't know when. They didn't know what kind of well, we know the form factor, but what they're going to be initial offerings. But it's coming, so we'll see. We'll see when it comes. So what else is interesting? Oh yes, so we went to visit our friends at Hornady. Hornady kind of announced already in November what are the new things. ARC is a big thing that Hornady is pushing for this year. 22 ARC in particular. Maybe not that interesting for our customers, kind of for competition. It's kind of varmint caliber, but it could be, it could find some application in that goes beyond hunting. But it's kind of filling in there, rather small kind of niche. I think there's other calibers that overlap with the usage of it. The Hornady also announced a bunch of new safes. They do have safes there in addition to the snap safe. That you can see one behind me here. But they do have a modular safe offering now from Hornady. They're quite nice. I'd say that would be, if you think of the snap safe as a nice a modular safe, I think Hornady would be kind of like the premium version of it. So they're a little bit more expensive. They have a little bit more. They use nicer finish, nicer material on it. In terms of security, I think they're comparable, maybe a little bit better. But they're very premium feel. They have better organization options and kind of storage options and accessories compared to snap safe. So for somebody looking for premium safe, this will be definitely another good option to explore. And let's actually show that. Oh, it's not loading. Oh, there it is. The hit indicator from Hornady is looking quite interesting as well. So this is kind of going the other way from what MDT is offering. Hornady went towards more simple. It attaches to the target stand and uses LED light to blink out HIT in Morse code. So basically, it's going to flash to indicate the hit the hits on the target. Now, what's interesting about this one is the price point is going to be quite different from the one from MDT, for example. I forgot what it is, but it was quite inexpensive compared to other offerings. So if it does work, I think this will be very interesting, especially for small bore and for 22. When you have a whole bunch of steel targets and you have to set up for the competition. And if you went with the MDT one, it would be quite expensive to equip all of them. But these are rather inexpensive and it'll be kind of easy to set up. And also, if you destroy one, it's not going to be end of the world because they're not that pricey. So that was from our friends from Hornady. Moving on to another company that we didn't talk about before, but I know everybody else is talking about it, so we're going to talk about it just because I actually like the company quite a bit, and I've been a big fan of this company for a long time. So Garmin has released a chronograph that let me go to full screen here. This C1 Pro chronograph, I think it's Zero. That's how you pronounce it, I believe. Now, there are some things that are really, really interesting about this chronograph that are probably well known to anybody who's been kind of following the industry, but it's very light. It works extremely well, and it's I'm not going to say cheap, but is at a very good price range considering its functionality. What's also interesting about it is that it is coming from Garmin, which means it has support from a very, very large company. Garmin is big company. It's bigger than any of the companies that I talked about so far. And personally, I think this is very exciting. I have many items from Garmin that I've been using for years. I have my Garmin watch, which is my daily, and have a number of other devices. They're mostly kind of fitness and outdoor devices that are very purpose-built devices, but and they've been working quite well. So I was quite excited to see this announced from Garmin. I was sort of holding my breath for past month or two, to wait out to see what how the reviews are kind of, and what is the usage reports going to be. So far, it's looking very good. We are likely to bring this in as a product to the store. Again, it was kind of very easy for us because we like the brand. But most importantly, so far, the chronograph has been performing. The things that are very interesting for small bore shooter is that it's small enough that you can essentially attach it to the rifle and shoot it. If you're a bench shooter or a prone shooter like myself, it's light enough that you can just attach it to the rifle and essentially just shoot with it. And you wouldn't even notice it. I don't know how well it's going to perform if it's attached to centerfire rifle. The debate's still out. There's lots of discussions about that. It's not officially supported by Garmin, so it's not like Garmin promised that you can use it and it doesn't work. Garmin never spec'd it out, but I suspect this shouldn't be a problem attaching it to small bore rifle. There's just not enough impact there to damage the unit. So we were quite excited about this, and of course, there was a bunch of other Garmin devices, so we kind of geeked out looking at all the Garmin toys there, and tactical watches and GPSs and all the cool stuff. Okay, now let's jump to one of our other favorite companies, which is Lapua. So what's interesting? What's interesting with Lapua this time? Well, Lapua news are kind of old news. What do I mean by that? So the big announcements from Lapua are that there's 2 new cartridges coming in. We're particularly interested and excited about the 6mm GT, particularly because we in-house have some rifles that are chambered in the a 6mm GT, and the other one's a 300 Winchester short mag. We thought it was interesting that Lapua has decided to support 6mm GT caliber, and we talked about earlier with the 6mm Creedmoor, which is kind of like I would say probably one of the more popular, more common in terms of the factory chamberings for the 6mm. But sort of with Lapua jumping on a 6mm GT train, it sort of legitimizes the caliber. It's not really just a builder's caliber. It's not just like a niche, a competition offering. Once Lapua is making it, because Lapua doesn't really jump quickly on the trends, this really legitimizes 6mm GT. And for those of you that talk to us, you guys know that we do like 6mm rifles here. This is really interesting. Of course, Lapua already offers a 6mm 6mm BR, which is what I shoot, and the 6mm Creedmoor. So adding a 6mm GT adds another option for 6mm shooters. The other thing that I think is even bigger news from Lapua is that they're planning to restart the production of the brass or the casings for that were sort of stopped last year or the year before. We are in particular very excited about the Palma brass, so the which is 308, a small primer brass. That is going to be a very big deal with the primer shortages now. If we can get 308 with a small primer, that's going to be a game changer. A lot of people are going to be able to now get back into kind of competition reloading or just reloading the 308 again, because the large rifle primers are just so hard to get, and we don't see it's getting any time better. So this was pretty substantial news from Lapua. Also, the Lapua primer factory is, I believe it's finished. The test production is scheduled to start next year, which means we probably won't see the primers anytime soon from Lapua. But if the primers are good, and we know Lapua is not going to use them until they are good, Lapua kind of takes its time to release things. But once they satisfy the needs of the Lapua cartridge factory production, there's a good chance that we will see the Lapua primers. I don't know how they're going to be branded. It's going to be Victorvuri brand, or is it going to be Lapua brand, or something else that they're going to use for branding the primers? But we really keep our fingers crossed that we will see some Lapua primers coming into us, as just as a primer offering. We know they're going to be sort of at the higher end of the quality spectrum, so we're quite excited for that if it ever happens. What else is new? Just quickly scanning my notes here. A couple of kind of our standard companies that we carry. We visited our friends at CRKT, Columbia River, a knife and tool company, and amongst the other knife companies that we looked, and it's kind of nice to confirm that we still love the CRKT knives, and we did love we like their offering better than some of the others. Lots of good knives from a lot of companies. That's not to say, but we do like CRKT knives, and we'll be bringing some more models and refreshing our offering, what we have. Visit our friends from WileyX. WileyX has also introduced quite a few new models and refreshed the logo and some branding. So hopefully we'll be bringing some more glasses from new glasses models from WileyX, and some of the existing favorites, which is what I use as my dailies. A couple of interesting things. One of the kind of big things that we were both quite surprised is we went to see Shillen, because we wanted to see what how if we could get some of the barrels. For those who know Shillen is quite a good produces quite good quality barrels, which take forever. So I don't know if you're going to see them anytime soon, even if you wanted to. But what we were very pleasantly surprised is that, and we didn't know about it, that Shillen actually makes a competition trigger, which was fantastic. It was for somebody that likes really nice triggers. Myself, I was quite surprised how light and crisp their Remington 700 drop-in trigger was. And for anybody looking for a light trigger, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting option. So I think what they had an offering was around 2 ounce, which is roughly what I have on my small bore, and it was quite nice. So not obviously for everybody, because it could be set to be heavier, but not everybody's interested in that very, very light range. But for target shooters or bencher shooters, having those lighter triggers is always interesting, and we were quite impressed how good that trigger was. Another company that we really wanted to visit, and we did, was Woox. I always feel a little bit funny saying that name, but the let me add that here. So Woox has sort of this hybrid chassis offering, and um, they are very, very impressive in person. They look nice on the pictures, and I didn't really know what to expect um, when when we went to visit them, we went to see them, because the pictures are not always um, true to kind of what things look in once you have them in your hands. But these chassis are very nice. The wood on it is very, very high grade. Um, I assume that what they were showing you with the quality, the grade and quality of the wood that you would be getting, on the regular production. But the integration between the polymer or the metal and the wood was quite impressive. It was done seamlessly, and we kind of drilled them on the functionality, and the performance, and it looks like they've done their homework. So we quite like them, and there's a strong possibility we might bring some of these and start adding them as an option for our builds, because we do like the wood metal combination. Not for everybody. If you kind of like more natural, sorry, not natural, but the pure kind of metal feel, or just the wood. But looks like they really kind of managed to get the wood and the qualities of the wood in terms of the interface to a person. So for cheekpiece, the forend, and the pistol grip. So those are, the wood is always nicer to feel than polymer, at least in my opinion, than polymer or metal kind of on the skin. But the functional surfaces, the ones that are interfacing with the rifle, they're using more artificial materials, either polymer or metal, to make sure that they still get that good bedding of the action, and has enough rigidity to perform as necessary. So yeah, these were very, very impressive. Very impressive. They call them chassis, but to me they look more like stocks. And Yeah, they were just really, really nice. Not much to say about that. Not much more to say about that. What else is interesting? German precision optics spotting scope with a reticle in it. We actually just received our first one today. Should be up on the website soon. But what is interesting, or let me bring it up here, is that they don't actually show the specs uh, fully here. They don't show the reticle, but it is a first focal spotter with the reticle. And What is interesting is that reticle is very, very close to the Mark 5 or Mark 4 PR2 reticle. So for competition shooters, this is going to be very attractive option. We're getting the pricing on it. We think the price point is going to be somewhere around $1,500-$1,600. Not cheap, but sort of a next comparable spotting scope to this is significantly more. Yeah, and this is going to be quite interesting to see how well this does in the competition environment. So more to come about this in the future emails. All right, just scanning my list here to see if I forgot anything. yeah, of course, we went to check out the Cadex's cannon. If just watch any of, just search for Cadex Shot Show, and you'll see the 14.5mm cannon rifle. I call it cannon rifle that they showed. It's quite it was quite something. Um, it was actually kind of funny because that caliber is so large that they couldn't even bring the live round to SHOT Show. It's illegal even in the States, so so they had to mill out a dummy to be able to bring it and show it at the SHOT Show. The thing's ridiculous. Just yeah, it's funny, or fun, I should say. Um, and a couple of kind of small things just to mention. Ementech has a couple of new products. So for guys looking to customize their pistols a little bit more, there's a new thumb rest option and a couple of other kind of both cosmetic and the functional offerings from Ementech. Will if you subscribe to a newsletter, we'll be sending more updates about that. Ballistol, in addition to their kind of existing offerings of the Gunser and the Ballistol Universal Oil, which is something that's always on our desk. This is sort of what we use for everything here. Um, it's kind of Frank's hot sauce of gun oils, at least for us. But they introduced the suppressor cleaner, and of course we can't have suppressors in Canada, but it's going to be very good for cleaning compensators and the muzzle brakes, or if you shoot with the 22 the tube like I do, it's going to be good for cleaning those because those are kind of hard to reach. So essentially for cleaning carbon buildup. So that should be coming from Ballistol hopefully later on this year, and just none of us really enjoy the cleaning, especially cleaning that carbon buildup. It's quite gross. I think this is going to be a good product to have. We have a number of new brands that we're going to be bringing up. We will be announcing those as we finalize what we will have. And if you haven't, please subscribe to our newsletter. We send it out weekly with everything that's coming to the store and tidbits of the industry updates and everything. And if there's anything else you'd like to hear more about from SHOT Show or any of the products we talked about here, drop us an email, drop a comment, and we'll try to chat about it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I did enjoy sharing this with you, and looking forward to doing more videos and sharing more info about products and shooting sports in general. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to know when we have new videos, and bye for now.